I make a special appeal to social media companies and media outlets. Please deal with the misinformation and disinformation that's on your shows. It has to stop.
Sense of me, you will never stop the free. Thinking that's gonna shut you down. Post the truth, then go to town. Sense of me, kick me off of every platform. I'll just go to get a gab and rumble. Now you can't stop me. I think we all see it, but cannot believe it. The glint in our eyes as we look at the sky to see that it's falling and people are calling. I think we all know that the end is nigh. But how can it be? The people is me. I posted a tweet and it got deleted. Don't look at me like I'm conceited. If you conceded, then tell me why you stuck on the YouTube, then on the Facebook, calling it meta. We fed it the cheese, fed it with cheese. They wanna release all of your data to screw up your piece. They censor me, then take liberty. Don't even let me post up with the need. Album to blast, they gonna ban that. Take it off Genius, you can't even read the lyrics of Brandon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. You are now tuned in to the Chandler Brief, where the dress code is, of course, business casual. This is our show we have every weekday at 3, where we discuss and dissolve the topics of the day. However, we are having our show early today to make sure that I can still bring this content to you guys while also mixing with the rest of the schedule we have going on today. More announcements on that coming very soon. Not too much going on today, so let's just jump into the subjects of the day, of which, as is tradition, there are many. Let's just jump right into it with the fact that in the United States, the truckers have now moved and are getting started on their plans. In fact, here's Rebel News, who is very heavily responsible for covering the truckers' protest in Canada and Australia, who is now taking their sights at America, saying U.S. truckers plan to descend on Washington, D.C. in protest convoys ahead of Biden's State of the Union. Now, we covered a little bit of this story in the previous days, but I wanted to touch on this one a little bit more because it is getting good. It's getting juicy, if I do say so myself. Want to give a shout out to my folks watching over on Rumble as well. Shout out to you guys. I see you. Somebody says, we're not coming there to just starve them. An organizer reportedly said, we're going to choke you like a boa constrictor and you'll have nothing. Wow. Days after the Trudeau government in Canada invoked the Emergencies Act to end the convoy, trucker-led protests in Ottawa, truck drivers in the United States have announced plans to partake in a similar convoy to D.C. ahead of President Biden's State of the Union address. Police in the district are expected to deploy civil disturbance units in preparation for the possible trucker convoys that could cause major gridlocks in the area. One of the organizers, Bob Bolas, who owns a trucking company in Scranton, says he planned to start on his convoy on Wednesday morning. Bolas stressed that the demonstration would be peaceful, but outlined the major disruption the trucks would cause on the Capitol Beltway. We're not coming there to starve them. We're going to choke you like a boa constrictor. Speaking to the news channel, Bolas listed a variety of issues the truckers were protesting, including mandates, truckers' rights, fuel prices, taxes, and critical race theory. We're leaving lanes open for emergency vehicles, and we're sending a message to the people in D.C. that you voted for these people. A previous convoy that was tentatively announced for the Super Bowl failed to materialize, but Capitol Police said authorities are aware of the plans for convoys to arrive in the United States for the State of the Union address. The Capitol Police and the United States Secret Service have been closely working together to plan for the upcoming State of the Union, yada yada. The temporary inner perimeter fence is part of the ongoing discussions and remains an option. However, at this time, no decision has been made. Now, of course, you guys may have seen a little bit on Twitter about this Bolas guy who has so far a failed convoy with very few people involved in it, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. This is only showing a little bit of what's happening. This is the developing story happening in California. Now, these are the mandate convoy and protest that we were actually talking about and knew that were happening. So the other one in Pennsylvania, I don't know why it's starting this early, because Pennsylvania is right down the road from DC, basically. From California is the reason why it's starting quite a few days before the State of the Union at this point. So this is the crowd of people that is gathering in Adelanto Stadium in California. I don't exactly know where in California that is. I'm gonna have to check that out. We'll do that in a second. But Adelanto Stadium, that's where it was planned, and I believe that's somewhere in Southern California. California's massive, but just take a look at the people here. Okay, so I'm taking a look at the maps here. So apparently Adelanto is a city in California, and it is near Los Angeles. Okay, so that confirms what I thought. It's like a suburban area. So this is a massive group of people getting together. Camera doesn't even cover it all. Here's a group of them driving by. Oh, I see somebody I know over there. Okay. We got flags. A lot of people showing up. What's going on, Deanna? Nice to see you. Seeing a lot of American flags, Gadsden flags. Beautiful. And I think I saw a bus for a candidate somewhere. Yeah, so this is big. Wow. And I think everybody's getting together, getting stocked up and prepared for this. Because this is going to be a long drive. They're not taking the full time, but it's an 11-day drive that they're taking, that they've got planned, to get all the way from here, which is Los Angeles, California, all the way to the other end of the nation at Washington, D.C. That is big. Very, very big. Wow. So there's a massive group of people here getting together. Just take a walk through. You don't have to spend the whole time watching this, but wow. I need to turn the music off because I know that it's going to ping me. CA says, chilling at work with one ear on Crump. I love it. So here's just an amazingly large group of people getting together. I'm proud of them. Somebody said, don't these people have jobs? Yes, they do. And their job security is being sacrificed by people like you who are saying, you deal with the mandates. Just live with them. So, of course, they're going to do something about it. They're going to take time out of their jobs and maybe even risk their job security to at least stand up for other people that don't have the time or the ability to get out there. These people are patriots. The whole point. I mean, back in the 1800s, or not even the 1800s, although that's one war, but I mean the 1700s, people had jobs back then. They had, they had farm jobs to do and all sorts of things. And it was a different climate back then, so you could take a little bit more time off. But they still took a risk by getting out there to fight for their freedom against an oppressive government. And what did they get? This amazing country today that we call America. Now, is it the exact same thing? No. Are we fighting to make a brand new America within America? Probably not. But are these people fighting to make change within their nation so that they can have rights again? You betcha. You bet your bottom dollar they are. But here is another look at how the tyrannical United States government is appearing to respond. Pentagon has now okayed the National Guard deployment to D.C. ahead of the trucker convoys. The Pentagon said that the Department of Defense have approved a plan to deploy several hundred unarmed National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. ahead of trucker convoys expected to converge on the city in the coming days, according to a news alert issued by Muriel Bowser. Mayoral Bowser, it's a cool portmanteau. The state government and the U.S. Capitol Police made their request for the National Guard to provide support at traffic control points in and around the district. So basically, they're going to be stationed at street intersections. Let's zoom in a little bit more. The state government made the request for the National Guard to provide support at traffic control points in and around the district, John Kirby said, which is the Pentagon press secretary. Kirby added that Guard personnel would also be ready in the event of possible disruptions at key traffic arteries. Trucker convoys modeled after the ones that have blockaded Canadian cities in recent weeks are headed for the capital ahead of Joe Biden's State of the Union address, March 1st. Aggrieved over vaccine mandates and pandemic restrictions, I cannot read today, some of the protesters could be in D.C. as soon as Wednesday, with one organizer telling Fox News that they plan to choke the Capitol Beltway. And so here's what looks like a text message. What the heck? Hold on. Let me take a look at this, because this just looks like a text message. Okay. Probably a text message to the citizens within D.C. That makes more sense. Wow. And then here's something else about something very separate. But, yeah. A group of people are getting in there. Aaron says, bet 1 week or less. Yeah. People are going to make their way over to DC, and it's going to be big. I cannot wait to see it. What's up to my people over on Getter? Let me read some of your messages. Somebody says, almost 70 degrees today in DC. Hopefully it will be great when they get here. Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm excited for it. I won't be there, at least not so far, but yes. Trump45 says, hi, this is my first time tuning in to listen to you. Thank you. Happy to be here. And Trump Victory says, God bless them all. Really true. Really true. I'm proud of these truckers. I'm hoping that it is peaceful. I'm hoping that there are no arrests. I'm hoping that everything is fine. But yes, pronounce it like the potato. Wow, 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 wowzer. I like it. So first organizer sounds like a Fed. Probably not. I don't know. Probably not a Fed. Just, some guy who's putting that together, doesn't really know how to organize amazingly well, but he's doing his job. And I can pull up a video of it if you guys want. I might have time to do that later on. But I want to touch on a little bit something further that isn't necessarily about the convoys, but kind of shows you what these people are more than likely willing to do. And when I say these people, I mean the government. But before we jump into that, I do want to remind you that this show is 100% supported by viewers like you. So if you are interested in supporting our content and joining our Hall of Heroes, which currently is Aaron and Douglas Project, then make sure you go to donorbox.org/support-Chandler and consider a one-time or an even monthly donation to support the content we create. We are 100% supported by viewers like you. So if you're interested in supporting me, all those options are available in the description below or in the chat. And shout out to Penny over on Facebook. I see you. But this is touching a little bit more on what the government more than likely will be willing to do once they take a look at things and say, we don't like what y'all are doing. This is the fact that a Capitol protester, and they, NBC News calls it a rioter, but a Capitol protester who declared civil war on January 6th has now been sentenced to prison time. Okay, hold on. Let's see what this is about. A Trump supporter who entered the U.S. Capitol through a broken window and declared this is war on January 6th was sentenced to 45 days behind bars. Wow, I feel like that's a troll, honestly. 45 days, whatever. Mariposa Castro, also known as Imelda Acosta, went live on Facebook in January 6 when she was at the western front of the Capitol, where some of the most violent attacks on law enforcement during the Capitol siege took place. While atop the inauguration platform, she also entered the Capitol building. District Judge Reggie sentenced Castro on Wednesday morning, saying she appeared gleeful and happy about what was happening on Jan 6. He also assessed a $5,000 fine, saying the attack of January 6 totally undermined the peaceful transfer of power. I've been reading a couple books about how civil war starts, and so much of history is repeating itself in our country, Walton said. I love this country. This country has been good to me, and to see what people are trying to do to this country is just very concerning. I don't glorify my actions, a tearful Castro told the judge. I got caught up on the energy, and if I could go back and change things over, I definitely would have brought more peace. Walton told Castro that she seemed to be all in on the battle on January 6. Castro claimed that dark energy forces had sucked her in during the U.S. Capitol attack. Amato, Castro's attorney, told the judge that her client made a bad mistake by deciding to go to the Capitol. She should have left. She had a lapse of judgment. She really did. I'm going in the Capitol, she said as she recorded herself entering the Capitol building. According to the statement of the defense, Castro agreed to, we're going inside the Capitol. We got inside the Capitol. So prosecutors sought 60 days imprisonment in Castro's case, arguing that she eagerly joined the assault by echoing the words of the former president as she was forced out of the Capitol. War just started, it's just the beginning. The best is yet to come, Castro said in one video. It's a civil war. We're coming, this is war. So a lot of statements like that, and of course, when you're recording yourself saying things like that, of course the government is going to throw the book at you. Thankfully, they only gave her, what appears 60 days, and I guess she already had served 15 or so days when she was arrested previously, so down to 45 days. You guys get the picture here. They're going to clamp down on you just for believing in what you believe in. Now, do I believe she should serve time for her actions? No. Do I believe it was the right thing to do? Maybe not. I just think that protests should be protests. And if we're going after each and every one of these people, then we should also be opening a task force into the tens of thousands of people that protested during the Black Lives Matter movement. And the people that literally charged at Kyle Rittenhouse trying to kill him. I don't understand how there's been no charges at any of those people for reckless endangerment when he was charged with all sorts of different crimes. But it is what it is. I think it's just that these people believe that people that stand for things are an embarrassment. Just like the Biden White House apparently believes that Elon Musk is going to be an embarrassment to the president if he is ever invited to speak at the White House. Which, honestly, I can't say is super wrong, but I think it just shows you that the White House is scared about appearances. The White House is reportedly worried Elon Musk will be a bad guest if invited to meet the president, a target of frequent mockery by Tesla founder. Some of Biden's top advisors have purportedly warned against inviting Musk to the White House over fears he would say something to embarrass the administration. The billionaire has repeatedly slammed the White House for failing to mention Tesla while discussing its plans for major nationwide investments. Biden and his close advisors are said to be irritated with Musk's public criticism and have no immediate plans to invite him to the White House. When CNBC asked the White House about the White House's apparent concerns, Musk responded with a pair of roll-on-the-floor laughing emojis and suggested his attendance at a future meeting shouldn't be a cause of concern. They have nothing to worry about, Musk said. I would do the right thing. Now, the question is, what is the right thing? Now, in Elon Musk's opinion, and probably my opinion as well, it would be to absolutely clown upon the president. Truly. Truly, and he deserves it. He does deserve it. Whether it's as something as minor as refusing to say Tesla by name, which eventually they did do later on when they had no other choice, or something as absurd and insane as sentencing some lady who was protesting at the Capitol, harmed no one, broke barely any laws, and is now being sentenced to prison time. Or is now going to be locking down the Capitol when the protesters in the trucker convoy arrive. I think you could see the message we're getting here. That people aren't as open to protest the government as it would have been led to believe. Or as it was evidenced last year. I don't know. But I guess there can be no further embarrassment to the Biden administration than how bad they are doing with our numbers. On January 23rd, 2021, crude oil was at $52. I believe that's a barrel. A barrel of crude oil, $52. Which even that in and of itself, if my memory is correct, is kind of a middle to high price. As of this morning, crude oil is now at $91 a barrel, which is a rather high price. So there's January 2021, and then here it is, probably around, I think if we're averaging it out, so let's say January 2020 is about here or so, and then here is, if I'm making an estimation, maybe like June 2020, because this is January 2019, January 2021, and here's it's a 5-year chart. So the lowest it ever got was just around $19 a barrel, and what we were estimating to be about July of 2020. So that's pretty big that it ever got that low. And now here we are at $91 a barrel. Now, of course, the president of the United States isn't the only person who decides what the global crude oil price is, but it sure does seem that he's had a lot to do with how these gas prices and other things have affected America. For instance, the gas prices in America are the highest they have been in decades. And and I just find it funny because on day one, actually within some of his first few hours of being in office, Joe Biden actually outlawed the Keystone Pipeline. Now, of course, at the time that he outlawed it, the gas prices were very low. But the Keystone Pipeline wasn't pumping yet. And that's a common thing that the leftists try to say, oh, it was Trump's fault because, Biden taking out the Keystone Pipeline, it wasn't in office. It wasn't in power yet. It wasn't pumping gas yet. So obviously, it couldn't have had anything to do with the gas prices. People are deciding what the gas prices are based off of future supply and future demand. So they are matching the prices to get the best deal. And if the supply is very high and the demand is pretty high, they're going to bring the prices down so that a lot of people will be buying gas. The balance, it works like that. So when you eliminate a prospective pipeline at a time when demand is about to skyrocket now that people are going to want to get on the road as they were and did back in the middle of 2021, because after a year of lockdowns, everyone wanted to get back on the road, and they're about to want to do that again. As things get warm, people are going to, as we saw in previous data, drive as far as from Oregon to go to Florida or fly. That takes oil and jet fuel as well, all sorts of things like that. Of course, with such a high demand, but without a pipeline that was going to give a lot of supply, prices will skyrocket. When something becomes more rare and more scarce and more difficult to attain and acquire, for instance, shutting down a major or a prospective major pipeline and having other supply chain issues, the price is going to rise. That all connects to Joe Biden's policy choices. You ever wonder why we didn't see something like this even when Trump was in office? The gas prices remained relatively low even during what was and still is to this day the height of the pandemic, which was in 2020. I don't care about any of these spikes that happened in 2021 or 2022 with these different variants. The numbers were never as high in 2021 and 2022 as they were in 2020. That was the worst it ever got. And yet the gas prices weren't astronomically high as they were during Biden's administration. Has nobody ever questioned this? That's the question I have for the people that aren't questioning it. Aaron says, Dad used to be the CFO of Wilco, and he's calling $200 a barrel before it turns. Wow. Sheesh. That's an interesting prediction. We'll see if that comes true. What's up to my people over on Getter? Can the truckers shut down the southern border? They will save gas. That sounds like an interesting idea. I would love to see the truckers shut down the border between America and Mexico, but I don't really know how effective that would be. Maybe they should shut down on the Canada side. That would be interesting. And the Canadian truckers are about to resurge. They're already striking in Quebec, I think we saw, and I think next week we're going to see a lot more happening over there. But let's jump into what is happening stateside for a little bit. But of course, it being America, stateside barely means stateside, because now we're going to talk about how the media is, instead of blaming Biden for any of our economy issues, is blaming Ukraine. How the Ukraine crisis is already hitting Americans' wallets. Although many Americans may prefer that the US stay out of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, you don't say. The brewing violence and political fallout are already hurting their wallets. Gas prices, which have hit 8-year highs. 8 years, huh? Interesting. Could surge even further if the hostilities escalate or if U.S. lawmakers pass another round of sanctions. The economic impact could also move beyond the gas pump. Wall Street analysts warn sanctions or export controls against Russia could make current semiconductor shortages even worse, while restrictions of wheat or metals could drive the fiercest bout of inflation in decades to climb even higher. Shockwaves across America. Russia is a major exporter of crude oil, accounting for about 12% of the world's supply. Any disruption to those exports is likely to drive prices at the pump higher for consumers, experts said. You know what? I want to take another jab at the Biden administration for. America used to be a net exporter of energy and a net exporter of natural gas, I believe, and a few other things. Before that, America had been relying on the Middle East and on Russia for decades, if not centuries. America had become a net exporter for the first time under Trump. Biden wiped that away within his first couple of months, bringing us back down to net importer status. So we are paying other countries to bring that stuff to us. We had it on our own, and we're actually giving it out, selling it to other countries. We were making that money back. But all it takes is one bad presidency to take care of it. Heck, even Obama did it better, because it says right here which hit 8-year highs. Sure, as Trump said it, Obama had the slowest economic recovery in American history, as we had after the Great Recession, been suffering until just about 2017 and 2018, which is a decade. It took Trump just a few months, just about a year, to rebuild us and bring us some of the most booming economy we had ever seen here. But all it took, it's actually, honestly, I'd say it takes a lot more skill to tear the economy apart in such a short time than it did to build the economy up in such a short time, because Trump took about a year and a half to build the economy up to some of the best numbers we had ever seen. Biden tore it apart in just a few months. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you like that. You have to want to. Like a 5-year-old sitting in the Oval Office couldn't just sign random bills and press random buttons and do it as bad as Joe Biden did. That is saying something. It truly is saying something. He had to be trying to do that. Honestly, does anybody agree? Does anybody disagree? I want to know. He had to be trying, because you can't just pull that out. You can't just pull that out. Anyways, another round of sanctions, all sorts of things. If Russia makes a run at Ukraine, we could see oil prices over $100 a barrel next week. It's already there. It's already basically there, said Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy, adding that average gas prices across the U.S. are likely to hit $4 a gallon. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That $4 is something we haven't seen in so long. It would cause shockwaves across America, he said. A key factor in how hard the conflict hits the economy will be how Russia responds to the U.S. sanctions that Biden outlined Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Biden moved to cut off 2 Russian banks and the state's sovereign debt from Western financing, while individuals will also be targeted. Russia could retaliate by halting oil and natural gas exports. That would put pressure on gasoline and natural gas prices in the U.S., which have already spiked this year. It is only a matter of time before we are seeing gas shortages in America. Not only will the gas prices surge to $4 due to Joe Biden's mismanagement of this crisis, because Putin isn't scared of Biden. Putin knows that only thing that Biden's going to do is sign a few bills, hold off some of the money, and say, stop it, you stop it right now. With Trump, Putin had at least a little bit of respect for him and said, maybe we should hold off. You ever wonder why Putin waited until a year after Biden got into office just to make sure things settled down and that he was steadily cemented in office? Because he knew that there would be a weak president and an even weaker vice president who somehow sounds more coherent than the president does, and is now willing to say, all right, time to get back to reestablishing my empire. Because a lot of people are wondering, why does Russia even want Ukraine? It's because a lot of its other land isn't actionable. A lot of that Asian territory is cold. It is really far north and is really far from the capital. And also Moscow, which is the capital of Russia, is only about, I think, 30 or 50 miles from their nearest border. So of course, Russia wants to expand westward, as they have done before. And as they had previously owned all of that land, they are trying to get it all back. And honestly, I can't even say that it's a terrible thing for them. That is Russia first. Are you guys seeing what I'm putting down here? Russia wants to put Russia first. And if that means attempting to annex some of Ukraine's land, or all of Ukraine for that matter, it's just going to be what they do. Now, we could say we oppose that, and we could say we feel for the people in Ukraine, but in the end, that is just Russia first. But unfortunately, and Moonshadow's right, not just Ukraine, plenty of other nations as well, but unfortunately, we aren't having an America first strategy. Now, America is already well established. We don't need to be annexing more land. What we need to be doing is tilling our land, making our economy successful, dealing with some of our problems we have here at home. Like, I don't know, killing hundreds and thousands of our babies each year, or millions, honestly. But, you know, that's a cultural issue, all sorts of problems like that. So at the very least, we should be laser focused in on having a strong nation that strikes fear into other nations so much so that they don't make moves on our allies and moves on people that like freedom, like the people in Ukraine. But unfortunately, we don't have that in a president. And so that's where we are. But of course, the mass media is going to slander you each and every which way, saying that Trump is siding with Putin as Biden tries to stop a war. Come on, bro.
Stop the cap.
Can we just, I want to go up to every single media and just say,
Stop the cap.
because they won't stop lying. Gosh. It took only 24 hours for Donald Trump to hail President Putin's dismembering of independent, sovereign Ukraine as an act of genius. The former president often accuses his enemies falsely of treason, but his own giddy rush to side with a foreign leader who is proven to be an enemy of the United States and the West is shocking even by Trump's self-serving standards. Let me just make sure. This is opinion, right? Okay, this is analysis by Stephen Collison. Thankfully. The former president often accuses his enemies falsely of treason, but its own giddy rush to side with a foreign leader is shocking by Trump's standards. As President Biden reprises the fabled presidential role of leading the free world, the predecessor who wants to succeed him is only showing Putin that impunity, dictator coddling, and hero worship will return if he wins back the White House. Trump's remarks on a conservative radio show on Tuesday will not only find a warm welcome in the Kremlin, they will also concern allies standing alongside the U.S. against Russia who fear for NATO's future if Trump returns, which is just so truly fascinating. I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. Trump said in an interview on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. So Putin is now saying it's independent. How smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well. Very, very well. So of course CNN is going to twist this in exactly the wrong light and saying, wow, Trump is siding with the dictator. When the truth of the matter is, he's admiring Putin just like the way I am. And just like the way that even Joe Biden did back in 2001, saying, it's a smart move. And always he's saying, I think Putin's doing the right thing and we should be supporting Putin and I'm going to be deploying forces to annex Ukraine right alongside Putin. No, because Trump is an American. He is an American patriot, an American president. But of course, the media is going to twist it. But it's a smart move on Putin's part. It truly is. Moving to our final story of the day, I want to touch on something that we discussed just yesterday and give you guys a little bit of video about it. Kyle Rittenhouse, who we mentioned a little bit earlier in the stream, is going on the offensive. And he's now stating that he will be suing multiple people for defaming him and his character. This one is big. He is now announcing that he will be potentially suing LeBron James. Let's check this out, shall we?
We all know that Black Lives Matter is a neo-communist organization, okay? They're self-proclaimed trained Marxists. You go to their website, I mean, they've even tried to take it down by now. They want to dismantle the nuclear family. They want to take down the United States of America, and they're willing to use violent acts to do it. 2020, we know, right? Do you support Black Lives Matter as a neo-communist organization? Do you actually support all of that?
No, I support Black Lives Mattering. I support Black Lives Matter. They do matter.
And I think everyone wants to know as well, what are your plans for LeBron James?
He'll be getting a letter too.
LeBron James will be getting a letter too.
anybody who defamed me or lied about me, we're just going to send them a letter and then deal with them in a courtroom.
We all know.
So that is a statement right there. And imagine as a new, freshly 18-year-old, just turned 18 this year, beat the charges, he's going to be getting that money. He's going to be suing some of the biggest names in America, who we call the elites. We'll just have to see how it goes. I want to give a big thank you and shout out to everybody who's been tuned in on our show. I will be traveling this week, so this will be our final show of the week. You guys will catch me once again next Tuesday for next Tuesday's edition of the Chandler Brief at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to check you all out once again then. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And also, once again, if you are interested in supporting our content, of course, with the donation and joining our Hall of Heroes, of which you'll see your name next week, be sure to go to donorbox.org and donorbox.org/support to consider a one-time or an even monthly donation to support our stream, just to show you guys what the website looks like. Here it is. And then here's the donor wall, of which are names. Aaron telling me not to say bleef. Grace telling me she saw me on election night. So shout out to all the people who have supported me, all the people over there. And of course, also, our show is sponsored by MyPillow. And it's great for traveling. I'm going to be bringing my pillow with me so I can get some great night's sleep while we're out on the field. I want to see you guys all out there, so make sure you go to mypillow.com and use code CRUMP. Aside from all that, though, thank you guys so much for being tuned into the show. I'll see you next Tuesday. Don't forget to spread the virus of intelligence. Peace out.
Into the light we go.